See, I ain't got no time for that deceit and love. And I ain't gotta watch. Her loves are filled with the butterflies, and she came to the ream of things. It seems like her eyes endows the lies that came to her witted smile. She threw a statue of glass in which ended the price of love. And when in time she came with the lust, at the end of love will rise. This love will make her hate. Her life will turn too late. The sorrow she has inside portraits and deceit and love. She was not to remove her vows, but not forsaking me for the wrecking of love, for the vacating in my heart, for the leaving me solidifying me to go to dust and just to get arrow from back to the starch of the grave. Sniveling until the lust, and if you were to run till death, and if you were to vanish from creation, if such to throw is such a waste of love that's been given for the sake of lies, and that you snatched my breath at the punching of my loves and made me rack from the start, from the spewing in blood from the beginning till there's no end, leaving me in pain, moaning from my heart, for if you the runs of death, and I wish you would vanish from creation. If such a throw for such a waste of love's been given for the sake of your lies. I wouldn't find it to happen again. I wouldn't be loving for the witted smile, the mathematical of a beauty. Love myself for the natural beauty, for the glide of the rays clean, for the nut, for the hem of the throat, for this to be a fairy tale, for the understanding of what you can find inside that morning, for the winter, for the cry, for the humming, for the singing, for this to be more simple than you could ever imagine. Let me estimate, let me enumerate, for the let me cell be filled with brain, for the let me storm, for the let me figure, and let me feel the shape of your heart. Days we spend, months we fritter, years we calculate, the love we share. Let me measure, let me scribble, let me draft the shape of triangle to your heart, for let me create the actualization, to let me analyze the linear chart of your soul. Let me learn, let me mesmerize, let me review the equation of your love. You will be touched to be felt, for the kiss that's been given, for this to be the words to be heard, ears to been sealed, no promise to be made, no tears, no shall be spilled, for this path has been chosen, all routes to be causing me ill, for the love that's been given, for the time to cower me in silence, no promise to be made, no tears should be spilled, no signs has this picture, for the care, for the forever lingering, for the roses that's been sent, all clues of how I end, no promise to be made, no tears that I've been spilled, the roses that you have are thorns that pierce me through, no promise to be made, with life it comes to fate, for the tears that should be spilled, for my soul is resting in peace. Then will you know it was such of a candle of freedom that you can never despise. That lust for every love, that understanding for every hope, for this is not be forsaken, for you can find that with a smile. No promise, no tears. You can have that pride, or shadow of pain. Relinquish for the shadow, for the embracing the darkness, silence, and it will find a reparation, for the lust, for the darkness, and this is desolate. It ain't enough for the lust, for the feeling, for the disdain, for the droplets of nights and splatting with this, and how it could be per month. And laying on the shadow, you will find that symptom for what you can be. There's no reverence for the pins and pains and lies upon that mind. The beauty of the silence is where it has no end, for the divergent. Let the beauty of silence and what you can find it divergent from the views. And this is the silence where you can only find you. That beauty is silence, and where there is no mistakes, and there's silence is, but there's no time to hate. That beauty is silence, but there's no nothing to explain, for the silence is when there is no time to diminish the pain. That must be the moment of competitive and the compassion that you be forsaken, for the here to be the throw, for the love and the hour, you for the color, for this to be padding along the creek, for this is just something that's seeking that you can say it, for the last goodbye, for the only lullaby, for the myself too, from finding vibes of sorrow, last breath for the tomorrow, to the dance to the smile, for the traveling of the mouth, for the searching for the rhythms that make me wild enough, for the sitting alone. gears and fills with the tears and clinging to a boat and fixed to a nut and droplets of oil and reminiscence of tears. A patting of the range reminds me of the pain. Tears of the man's for the sighing of the love, for the sign of love, for the able labels so great, for that you can ask me for a poem and I gave you a sign, for the tears that roll from the eyes. And I have a thought, and I have a glide to a razor clean enough for this to be all the emotions and power. And I will hide and find and grave for the silence, and with my black little heart for the little to comfort the deprived of the rights, with the lust of the hate for this, the full price of the pride, for the leading of all miseries and memories and changing of all lying and lies. I glide, clean of answers with the strength that I can have. Clean of answers for you can come clean enough without a fairy for the tale, for this is the love, for the truth you can never tell, for somebody for the shadow of the pains and the tears of the man will find your sweet November of a love, for the fathoming of a feeling. But I can never cross that, for the crossroads will never stutter enough, for this the feeling of the wind. The sounds of the wind resonate across the harbor, for the plain, for the shadows arise, for the west, for the ending of the what you can find, the fading and hate, for the journeys to stars and innocent is arranged enough, for the fathom and the feeling that glows inside the pair for the sea, for the oh God, but you can find that nightfall for the holy beside it. It will be adjacent for the this will be out there for the thou, the with it, the memory, the rocking, the pride, the tears, the gusting of wind blows me cold, for which I can been sold enough, for the fables of the quill, the rocking of a chair that makes me ill enough, for the words of a flame that can make me sitting on over all those ashamed, for all those to be gone, for the this I never did. How come? You come how for the ways and the means and meaning, for meaning, for I and more, for the natural, for the love, for this should be a kamikaze. It happened again, and I knew it. Soaring into the skies, and last known for the airspace, to offer that for the full blown, for the flight, for the bringing me down, for the dodging of bullets and spewed enough for the guns and the crash into the fortress and die with a smile. You will see that schedule. It's competitive enough for you to be jealous of me. I'm jealous. Carving myself. There's nothing left. There's the flag left without you. I can find my face in this without blanket. Laying back in the bed from the tears of stench. Finding my heart, but this is the end of the torment from the night. That's the fire. Reminds me of the pain. Man with gears and fills with the tears and clinging to a boat and fixed to a nut and droplets of the oil and reminiscence of tears. A patting of the range reminds me of the pain. Tears, it reminds me of the pain. The man with gears and fills with the tears and clinging to a boat and fixed to a nut. It reminds me of the pain. The man with gears and fills with the tears and clinging to a boat and fixed to a nut and droplets of the oil and reminiscence of tears. A patting of the range reminds me of the pain. Tears of the man's for the sighing of the love, for the sign of love, for the able labels so great, for that you can ask me for a poem and I gave you a sign, for the tears that roll from the eyes. And I have a thought, and I have a glide to a razor clean enough for this to be all the emotions and power. And I will hide and find and grave for the silence, and with my black little heart for the little to comfort the private the rights, for the lust and the hate, for this the full price of the price, for the leading of all miseries and memories and changing of all lying and lies. I glide, clean of answers with the strength that I can have. Clean of answers for you to become clean enough without a fairy for the tale, for this is the love. You never tell somebody for the shadow of the pains and the tears of the man will find the sweet November of a love without the link of a feeling. But I can never cross that, for the crossroads will never stutter enough for this the feeling of the wind. The sounds of the wind resonate across the harbor, for the plain, for the shadows arise, for the west, for the ending of the what you can find, the fading and hate, for the journeys to stars and innocence arranged enough, for the fathom and the feeling that glows inside the pair for the sea, for the oh God, but you can find that nightfall, for the holy beside it. It would be adjacent for the this would be out there for the top. The wind, the rock, the pride, the tears, the gusting and wind blows me cold, for which I can been sold enough, for the fingers of the quill. Rocking in the chair that makes me ill enough of the words, but flame that can make me sitting on for all those ashamed, for all those who be gone. This is how I never did. Now come out of the ways and means of me. It happened again. I knew. Soaring into the skies and asking for the space to offer that for the full blown for the flight. Being down to the thousand bullets and speeding up for the guns and the crash into the fortress and die with a smile. See that schedule. It's competitive enough. You were the carver. You see, I ain't got no time for that deceit and love. And I ain't gotta watch. Her loves are filled with butterflies as she came to breathe. Seems like her eyes endowed the lies that came to her witted smile. She threw a satchel of glass in which ended the price of love. And when time she came to lust, the love will rise. This love will make her hate. Her life will turn too late. The sorrow she has inside poetry's secret love. She was not to remove her vows, but not forsaken me for the wrecking of love. Became my heart from the weakness out of fire to go to dust and the slip of the arrow from back to the starch of the cravings. Snippet until the lust and if we were to run to death and if we were vanish from creation if there was such a waste of love that's been given for the sake of lies, and that you snatched my breath at the puncture of my loves and made me rack from the front, from the start, the spewing your bullets from beginning to there's no end, leaving me in pain, moaning from my heart for if you would run to death, and I wish you would vanish from creation in such a throw for such a waste of love's been given for the sake of your lies. I wouldn't find it to happen again. I wouldn't leave me loving for the witted smile or the mathematical of a beauty. It will love myself for the natural beauty, for the glide of a rays clean, for the nut, for the hem of throat, for this is to be a fairy tale, for the understanding of what you can find inside that morning, for the winter, for the cry, for the humming, for the singing, for this is to be more simple than you could ever imagine. Let me think, let me estimate, let me enumerate, for the let me cell be filled with brain, for the let me storm, for the let me figure and let me feel the shape of your heart. Days we spend, months we fritter, years we calculate, the love we share. Let me measure, let me scribble, let me draft the shape of triangle to your heart, for let me create the actualization, to let me analyze the linear chart of your soul. Let me learn, Let me mesmerize. Let me review the equation of your love. You will be touched to be felt for the kiss that's been given, for this to be the words to be heard, ears to been sealed, no promise to be made, no tears, no shall be spilled, for this path has been chosen. All routes to be causing me ill, for the love that has been given, for the time to cower me in silence. No promise to be made, no tears should be spilled, no signs this has this picture, for the care, for the forever lingering, for the roses that's been sent. All clues to how I end, no promise to be made, no tears that I've been spilled. The roses that you have are thorns that pierce me through, no promise to be made. With life it comes to fade, for the tears that shall be spilled, for my soul is resting in peace. Then will you know it was such of a candle of freedom that you could never despise. That lust for every love, that understanding for every hope, for this is not be forsaken, for you can find that with a smile. No promise, no tears. You can have that pride, or shadow with pain. Relinquish for the shadow, for the embracing the darkness, silence, and it will find a reparation, for the lust, for the darkness, and this is desolate, and ain't enough, for the lust, for the feeling, for the disdain, for the dropping to the nights and splitting with this, and how it could be per much. Laying on the shadow, you will find that symptom for what you can be. There's no reverence for the pins and pains and lines upon that mind. The beauty of the silence is where it has no end for the divulging. Let the beauty of silence and what you can find it diverging from the views. And this is the silence where you can only find you. That beauty is silence, and where there is no mistakes, and this silence is where there's no time to hate. That beauty is silence where there's no nothing to explain, for the silence is when there is no time to diminish in the pain. That must be the moment of competitive, or maybe the compassion that you can be. Forsaken for the here to be the throw, for the love of the hour, you for the color, for this to be padding along the creek, for this is just something that's secret that you can say it, for the last goodbye, for the only lullaby, for the myself too, from finding vibes of sorrow. Last breath for the tomorrows and the dancing with a smile, for the traveling of the mile, for the searching for the rhythms that make me wild enough for the sitting alone and